The Supreme Court justices just did something today that they rarely do. They scheduled an oral argument in the month of May. So what issue could be so important that the justices scheduled a hearing in a month when they're usually really busy writing their rulings? Well, it's an issue that the Trump administration brought to them on an emergency basis. Technically, the justices have now agreed to decide whether federal judges can issue nationwide injunctions that stop a president's actions. Now, there's a much bigger underlying issue to all of this. The reason why the justices are taking this case is because 3 separate federal judges have issued a nationwide injunction to stop President Trump's executive order that ends birthright citizenship. Now, it's important for you to understand, while the underlying issue is Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship, that's not really the issue the justices are going to hear. The oral arguments are going to really be focused on, and the justices will probably ultimately decide on, just the issue of whether federal judges can issue nationwide injunctions that would stop a president. But you should know that their ruling wouldn't just apply to Trump's birthright citizenship policy. It would also apply to any policy President Trump or any president puts out there. Trump is arguing that no federal judge should have the power to issue a nationwide injunction that would stop anything he does. He doesn't think it's right. He says his administration is now being targeted by these federal judges and that they're issuing more of these nationwide injunctions than ever before. He calls it an epidemic that he says the justices need to stop before they become universally acceptable. In his emergency filing, Trump says if the justices don't want to go as far as to take away the right of federal judges to issue nationwide injunctions, at the very least, he suggests the justices should rule that when it comes to, for example, ending birthright citizenship, the injunction should only apply to the states, organizations, and people that sue, but then should be allowed to continue in all the other states. The Supreme Court is consolidating 3 separate cases, one out of Massachusetts, one out of Washington, and one out of Maryland, that involves plaintiffs from 22 states, 2 organizations, and 7 individuals. The judges in all 3 of these cases have issued a nationwide injunction that blocks the Trump administration from even working on implementing the birthright citizenship plan, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. Now, the reality is the issue of nationwide injunctions is one that lots of presidents have been pissed about. Trump is not the first. No president wants his policies blocked by the courts, even if it's just temporary. It's also true that the number of nationwide injunctions ordered by individual federal judges has increased. We're definitely seeing more of them. But it didn't start with Trump. He's certainly not the only one. It actually really started to happen under President Obama. And lots of his policies were blocked by nationwide injunctions. And of course, we saw more nationwide injunctions during Trump's last term, and we obviously saw a lot of them during President Biden's term too. I covered all of them here on my page. The pattern has been, when a Republican is in office, the Democrats are the ones that sue to block the policies. And when a Democrat is in office, the Republicans are the ones who sue to block the policies. But the difference now is, in the past, these presidents have all just dealt with it, either by fighting the injunction in court or changing the policy or getting the policy passed through Congress or just abandoning the policy altogether. Sometimes presidents win and sometimes presidents lose. That's just how the justice system goes. But Trump's emergency filing to the Supreme Court says this has to stop now. The oral argument in the Supreme Court over this case is scheduled for May 15th, and we could ultimately get a ruling at the end of June or maybe early July. Now, just one quick thing I want to leave you with before you decide whether you think that having these nationwide injunctions is a good thing or a bad thing, or whether they should stay or go. Remember, at some point, the shoe is going to be on the other foot. Meaning, at some point, another president is going to come into office, and that president may not be the same political affiliation as you. And do you really want to have another president who does not share your political ideology to just be able to implement whatever policy he or she wants with no ability for any judge to issue a nationwide injunction? Just something to think about.